you are not married at a certain age in Ghana or Africa, it's an issue.
Sure. It's like you're expired.
Do Africans and African Americans believe that we are one?
Now that I'm here in Ghana, it's been made very clear.
We don't see ourselves as one people, and we never have, and we never will.
Imperial Homes Ghana in Great Britain has carved a niche for itself within the real estate industry as the premier provider of luxury homes in Ghana and England, with a mission to provide safe, good value, modern housing and personalized estate management services to its clients and customers. All our homes meet the Lifetime Home Standard, as well as the highest standards of engineering excellence, safety, environmental sustainability, and cost efficiency. Imperial Homes, a signature of luxury.
Guba Card welcomes you to the land of gold, Ghana. The Guba Card is a unique loyalty card which gives you the opportunity to enjoy discounts of up to 40% on goods and services. You enjoy discounts of the best of hotels, amazing restaurants, beauty lounges, spas, health centers, fashion houses, and shopping centers in Ghana. The Guba card can also be used as a prepaid Visa card with Access Bank, our partners, offering you conveniences on all payment platforms. Applications is safe, secure, and valuable.
Call us or WhatsApp us on 0245 156 705.
Visit www.gubadiaspora.com. Guba Card, the best discount card in Ghana.
Hello guys, my name is Cassandra and I'm here to invite each and every one of you guys to the Diaspora Transition Network. It's a network for everyone in the diaspora to join. Any issues you have with GRA, Ghana's Registrar's Office, Lands Commission, they are here to help, support, and also guide you through it all. So click the link and sign up and join today.
The Green Lounge is based in Tema, and we are talking about the diaspora, and I'm joined by three different women from different backgrounds. CARLYA from the USA. She was into IT, but in Ghana, she's cooking. She's doing vegan foods. You're a chef now.
I am.
Selena here. She is a historian. When I tell you the amount of history that she fills me up with, Denta, did you know this? I'm like, oh my goodness. Slow down, calm down. She's so passionate about what she does. Thank you for joining me on the show. And I have VANESSA GYAN, who is the daughter of Kiki Gyan, who was in Osibisa. If you know the group Osibisa, then you will definitely know Kiki Gyan. And you came from the US, and two UK people repping, okay, with the ones repping here. But I feel like there's a lot more African Americans coming to Ghana than UK. Do you see that since you've been here?
Yeah, and this is the Barack Obama campaign when he was, in the 8 years, and Americans really coming into understanding what it meant to be African. Because remember, Barack Obama, he's not an African American. Yeah. His father is African. Yeah. So it's looking at what does that mean for somebody who now controls the country as an African. Yes. And an American. Yeah. So it was looking at, the history behind the movement, because over 400 years, celebrating the diaspora growing through the transatlantic slave trade, but then looking at what does that mean for those of us who look like one another? What does that blackness look like? How do we now harness that energy?
You see, this woman, she's delved into the history already. But okay, so let's start with, do Africans and African Americans believe that we are one?
I feel like we are, but as a whole, the answer is no.
I share sentiments with VANESSA. I definitely think we're the same, and it's because I'm coming from a place where we experience and consistently deal with racism. So when I see you, I see me. I don't care, I don't even bother to ask where you're from. I see you, I see me. But now that I'm here in Ghana, it's been made very clear, right? Even not just differences amongst Ghanaians and Americans, African Americans, but even Ghanaians and Nigerians. I hear often Native Africans even making differences between themselves. So I think we need to do better with looking at ourselves as the same.
Has history made us not love each other as black people? Why is it that somebody from Nigeria may not want to work with somebody in Ghana, or somebody in Ivory Coast not want to work with somebody in Togo? What has happened that has created that barrier against each other? I'll start with Mademoiselle Selena, the history woman.
We don't see ourselves as one people, and we never have, and we never will. When we look through history, you know, we have this title black, but that title was gifted to us. All the titles we have been gifted. The titles that haven't been gifted are tribal titles, nation titles, titles that tie us back to land, community, and identity. When we look at black culture is jerk chicken, it's jazz, it's salsa, it's capoeira. This is an amalgamation of cultures that have an infusion of direct African influence, and then those of us who were taken and creating new cultures outside. So black isn't one thing, it never has been. When you
our
go,
food is in, by the way, we ordered food, we pre-ordered our food, and the food is in. When you come to Ghana, you're usually ready to eat the wache, the fufu, and all that. And sometimes you may be missing some continental dishes, you know, dishes that you used to have back home in America or the UK. And I would suggest that you come to the Greens, because sometimes you miss the burger and chips. you miss certain foods, and so I would recommend that you come here. But back to history. Back to history, Selena.
but the same with food, you know, we're continental eaters. See, I'm from England, we're from England, America. So we've got, you know, the Italian infusion in America, pasta, pizza. It's not African. And it's not because it's not African, that's not what it is, it's just culturally different. So people in Italy, you know, they had more wheat, so they made flour, and they had to manipulate, you know, what they could do with it. Same like here, we have rice, tomatoes, we've got all kinds of different foods, and we create a variety of different foods that is influenced all over the world. Chicken is something that most communities eat, but only Jamaica has jerk chicken. Why is that? It's about culture. And when we talk about blackness, for me, with the history that we're learning and we're developing and teaching our children, it's about culture. How do we identify it culturally? Because we all have different melanin composites. You know, some of us are lighter, darker. That's based on our ancestry. Yeah. How do we now still hold on to black to identify us universally when we're talking about culture, language, spirituality, religion, history, you know, and we're looking at how we come together on common grounds to be able to have respect for each other based on where we're coming from.
Awesome.
Those lamb chops look juicy.
That's why I ordered the lamb chops. This is why I ordered the lamb chops, because the lamb chops
Looks
here.
wonderful, Chef. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With the Green Lounge, you don't get the waitress serving you, you get the chef.
Yes.
Okay? You get the chef. So the food is here. We've got burger, we've got lamb chops, we've got prawns. Looks really good. Well, I want to go back to our question. Food looks good, but we need to still have the conversation. Are we one?
If we classified ourselves as one, we would have to take away all of those cultural identities. We'd have to work out one language, one, you know, means of communication, one form of dress, one form of dance, you know, but we're not one thing. Okay. But that connection to the mother country is a oneness that we are now looking at the variety of how we have expanded on our cultures and on our own identities to be able to come together, to be able to reinforce what that history, what the present and what the future can go on to look like, looking at the source of where we have started from.
Okay. Leading from what Selena is saying, do you believe that we're one? Coming from, as an indigenous Ghanaian, living in America for so long, did you feel that oneness when you came to Ghana?
I didn't.
Okay.
I always, and I think it's even telling of how we describe each other. Let's say African Americans describe Africans, or Africans describe African Americans. I am Ghanaian blood. I wasn't born here, I wasn't raised here, but I am Ghanaian. Yeah. But moving back, I felt like I'm not Ghanaian. I'll go into spaces and it's always, oh, American girl, oh, American this, oh, and it's like, but I'm Ghanaian, you know? Which is hurtful because it makes me feel like I should have been back sooner. Maybe I should have researched more. I don't know, dived more into my culture. But at the same time, it's always about growth, right? Yeah. But yeah, I still get it till today, even the whole, hey, oh, brony, you're not brony, you're not Ghanaian,
Wow.
you know? Or even when I'm eating fufu, people are surprised that I like fufu. And I'm just like, I can eat fufu 7 days a week. Like, I love, one thing is that my mom did not take the culture away from us, you know? So all the food, speaking tree, understanding tree, it's all in me, you know? It's just that I wasn't here. So my answer is, I think we are, but many others don't think we are. And that's from how my example of my personal treatment returning back 8 years ago. Yes.
So Denta, you know, coming from the U.S., I refer to myself as an African born in America.
Oh, I like that.
I didn't have a particular country or land or tribe, if you will, to tie myself to.
So you didn't do a DNA?
I did do a DNA later.
Okay.
But I do want to just point out that for most African Americans who are interested in our background, we take on all Africa as a whole, right? And please understand, I know that Africa is a continent and not a country, but to be able to pick and choose different cultural things, I think that's awesome that we've been able to do as African Americans. But also it's looked down upon because we truly don't just know who we really are, who we really belong to. So just to answer your question, I definitely think we're the same. If we were all in the U.S., the police would stop us all. They wouldn't ask if I was Jamaican or Ghanaian or Nigerian, right? So that's something I do try to share with a lot of Ghanaians here that I interact with. I tell them, hey, we're not going to practice colonialism or white supremacy up in here. And I explained to them that, you know, the Berlin Conference designated these lines here. So the person you're maybe frowning your face at could possibly be your cousin. So overall, no, I don't think we don't consider ourselves the same, but we absolutely should.
How was the cultural shock moving from the US? You are into IT in the US.
Yes.
And you gave that up.
I did.
Why did you give up everything to come and settle in Ghana?
Well, I think in the U.S. they sell us this false sense of freedom and this false sense of security. Yeah, we make all this money, but you're always at work. And you're there to pay off all of your debt. One thing that was a major culture shock coming here, people will tell you Africa is poor. Africa ain't poor. Ghana is a cash society. If you don't have no cash, you can't pass. So in the U.S., you can function and live on the high horse with credit, but the minute you lose your employment or something like that, you fall. So we have this false sense of security, false sense of freedom. Now that I've been here in Ghana, I really, truly believe, or I feel like I'm experiencing true freedom. No one, I don't even feel black here. Explaining that concept to someone is a whole nother, those are stories for other days. But yeah, you know, the culture shock there's been a lot of other things that I didn't prepare for.
Like, let's talk about them. Let's talk about them. That's what we want to know.
Yeah. So everybody knows about the lights going out in Doomsor. Everybody knows that. Everybody's warned you about that. But the lights will come back on. Everybody's warned you about the water not running. But maybe for the ladies, maybe no one has warned you that if you don't have a husband, a lot of times you can be marginalized or overlooked, dismissed even. So those were cultural things I had to definitely get used to.
So you feel like people would respect you more if you were married?
Absolutely.
So when
Yes.
you're not married, they probably make little comments here and, oh, you're not married? Oh, how old are you?
Or where's your husband? Like, I'm not gonna bother talking to you. Where's your husband? Let's just get down to business. So you know.
Have you been through that?
I haven't been through that in that way, but I completely understand that, because with the work that I do, my room's filled with men. And so when I'm the woman in the room, I'm literally the woman in the room. And, you know, we know that African Americans, British women, they've been fighting for, you know, the liberty to vote for over 100 years. That we, you know, we look at the plights of the suffragette movements and things like that, and especially even here, you know, the fight of women being able to have a status for themselves, to be able to function alongside men. And this is something, you know, colonialism has warped here in the continent, and, you know, generationally, we continue the same practices. But when it comes down to being here, I feel that as a woman, if I was married, I would have more opportunities available to me. And when people see this or hear this, they may think, well, you know, you're not working hard enough, or, you know, I'm not doing something. But that's not what it is. We live in a misogynistic world. The man has always been at the center of patriarchy, even though, you know, we have queens, we have women heads, but it's the patriarchy, or the illusion of a patriarchy, that then makes the woman submissive. We must know our place and things like, you know, we've grown up with all of those concepts. So though personally, they may not affect us in our personal homes, but from a world perspective, what is the worldview of the woman? What is the worldview of the man? Who comes first? We talk about protector, provider, you know, man of the house. Yeah, man of the house, but the woman runs the house. Right. So where is the equality in the fact that not one can do all? But being here, again, if you know, you're pretty, you're things like that, you know, you get more available to you. These are facts. Men want pretty women. These are facts. But how does that help the work? How does that help develop what we need to get done? Where is the professionalism that we may think we have abroad, but we're coming home with that ideology that, you know, as women, we're able to venture and have positions because we are good at our jobs. But we have laws in place that mean that diversity means you have to employ a woman. They have had to put things in place so that we have opportunities, not because it's right. So if you have to put laws and acts in place, what does the framework say in the first place? That it's a man's world. And whether or not you like it or not, that's what the framework says. Who were the founding fathers? There were no women. And now we are saying, we are asserting ourselves to say, this is not okay, this is no longer acceptable, but we still have to work within their margins. We still have to do it from their order, their platform, and then they decide, you know?
I do want to just jump in and add one more point, right? Because I definitely don't want to come off male bashing. I also want to even give a positive culture shock that I've experienced here with men. So if I have groceries or my dispenser water or anything like that in my vehicle, for example, the men are the epitome of chivalry. So I do want to highlight that here, and that's something I did not experience in the U.S. So I cherish that. I really think that's special for me in particular, to be able to look to men and reach out and trust them.
You're right, because in the UK you could have 10 bags of shopping in your hand. The men will be walking past. But no, literally in Ghana, they would help you out. If you break down on the roadside, you will get help. In the UK, there's not even no eye contact, let alone like you trying to put your hand out for help.
It depends on the area you're in, because I'm from Brixton.
And you ain't getting help in Brixton.
I am getting help.
No, you're not getting help.
And that's the wickedness, right?
Are you sure?
Right, and because when our men see us, well, when they see me, and they think that I need help, they come and they ask.
Oh, really? Okay.
They do, and like I've been, you know, my car's broken down the side of the road and I'm out. People have stopped their cars for me, so it's definitely it's a cultural thing. So if you're in certain environments and you're around, you know, your people, and when you say your people, this is again back to this: are we all one? We're not all the same people because we don't all interact in the same way. I know my people when I see them, because if you needed help, I would come to help you. Wouldn't matter who you were, where you were. And that's what I reciprocate. So wherever I am, if I need help, help is coming my way. And I think because we're here and we are the majority here, it's very different. So how we're interacting and relating to men and women here is very different. And you know, we use where we're coming from as a framework. We can't do that. It's completely different, because even when we were talking about how it is to be here, you know, feeling that we need to be married or the certain level of respect.
I'll quickly, sorry, I was going to chime in about the married thing. I think, and there's another personal one. I have too many personal stories. But you know, when I had my son 4 years ago, automatically when people see me out, it's oh, where's your husband? Oh, are you married? Or they're looking at my finger and I'm like, no, it's okay. Like, and it's like, oh, so when? Oh, don't you want a husband? Aren't you looking for? And I'm like, I'm not looking. Like, what comes will come, you know? So that is like, stop, you know, leave women to just be, you know, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
So imagine if you were born here, what pressures are the women facing here with that? So those of us who are coming in who feel that this is an issue, what about the women who are already here, who this is normal for them? So when we're coming with our world view, we're coming with our world understandings, with how we've understood ourselves, how we represent as being African. Because we claim the continent, whereas we're claiming a country here. We're not claiming a continent. So whereas we may mix in some Eritrean, we may mix in some South African, some Angola here, it's Ghana here. And it's very, very Ghana here. And how do they get the infusion of other cultures unless we're coming in?
And I also feel like, touching on your point, is that if you are not married at a certain age in Ghana or Africa, it's an issue.
Sure. It's like you're expired. don't even try at this point. No one, like,
Spoiled milk.
yeah, it's like, oh no, but no man will want you at a certain age. So like, you know, just don't you like the guy you're dating? Just hurry up, like make it happen. And it's like the pressure. And I feel like that's why there's a lot of unhappy women in their marriages, because they are pushed to meet that deadline of I'm married. You know, and then the parents is excited. Oh yeah, my child got married, you know. Yeah, 23, 24. Yeah, and it's like a lot of people, they're still trying to find themselves. To each his own, but I don't feel like the pressure should be so much on the woman.
Do you feel the pressure of, I'm not married, I need to get married? Is it the same? Do you see it the same in Ghana?
There's definitely pressure to be married, but it is not it is not a cultural mandatory requirement. Right. In fact, I would say that part of the attractiveness of coming to Ghana for a lot of African American women is the opportunity to marry.
Yeah, I heard
We don't have that opportunity in the U.S. If you look at our marriage rates and things like that, they're very low. So I know that a lot of my friends have come here and they've been lucky, right? They've found love. They've come here and gotten married.
Oh wow!
So I still think there's some pressure overall, universally, for women to be married. But Ghana is a whole nother situation when it comes to where is your husband.
And have you been able to have some type of relationships in Ghana yet?
No, not at all, because I am older. I'm 48, so I definitely have men that I see that I think are attractive. There are men that think I'm attractive, and then once we start to have a conversation, I find out they're 14 or 15 years younger than me, so it becomes not an option. They're just good looking from afar. And for me in particular, I've been really submerged in my business. So as soon as I get to a point where the business is
Up and
running and it's automated, like it's running itself, then I'm taking phone numbers. If you got cousins or brothers and they're over 40, then send me a message.
Vanessa, how has Ghanaian men been for you?
You know, it's been interesting. I've dated a couple of times since I moved back 8 years ago. And it's interesting. I don't feel they're transparent enough. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's my New York personality, and we're very blunt, we're very vocal, we like to communicate. And I think that's the word. There's a lack of communication. You know, you're saying A, give me back B, and it's like Z, and it's like, why are we going in circles, you know? But they are very handsome, very good looking men. And funny enough, well, not funny, when I was in New York, I never dated a Ghanaian.
Wow.
I had never dated, like I was very US of A. I am there. I didn't go to school with Ghanaians. I didn't have Ghanaian friends.
Wow.
Not my mom, of course, she had her Ghanaian community. They had children, but I had my own friends, and so this was really fresh for me. So dating a Ghanaian guy, literally when I came here, was brand new.
Wow. She said interesting about 7 times. Interesting. You're very big on history because you are a historian, right? And this is what you've been doing for a long time, or most of your life. How much history do you think we know in this country?
0.2%.
0.2%.
Yeah.
Sis, that's low.
It's not low, it's just a number. And the reason why I say that is because, again, these are my opinions based on the work that I do, based on the books that I've read, places that I've been, people I've interviewed, and, you know, being able to collect all of that data to be able to then narrate what I believe and understand. And all of us were born into a colonial world. That's a fact. And as you mentioned, the Berlin Conference, 1884-85, this is where Europeans divided up Africa, a continent, for economical, political, and liberal development for their nations. This is Britain, France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, the Dutch. Yeah. So as a result, Africa was property of Europe, and it was white owned, but black, African, indigenous occupied. Then we have the importation of other people's understandings of how we should practice and how we should be. We are then taught their version of history. They change our names, they change our locations, they send us to war, they take us to mines, they develop, and they then tell us what jobs we should have. They then send our children to be educated under them. Their children then lose parts of their culture. They become vessels for somebody else's enhancement, for them to generate economically back to Europe.
Yeah.
And then we also look at the Americas, you know, African Americans now reclaiming themselves to identify something completely separate to the continent. Why is that? Because when we look at African American history, no other Africans and other people on the planet have gone through what they've gone through on that side of the world. So when we talk about, you know, this oneness, we have things happening to us at different times, which is creating different people. So the history that we're given, when we talk about black, it's not enough, because bordering Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, how much of their history do we know? When we go up to Burkina Faso, how much of their history do we know? But we're calling our So then when we talk about, let's use key people, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, unless you're from South Africa, how much of the apartheid do you actually know? What can you feel from that? When you go there, you see the people. Why do they behave this way? Because of what has happened to them.
Yeah.
When you go to Liberia, what has happened to them? When you go, and right. And as a result of that, we then say, it was us who did it. But nobody talks about the European influences that marginalized people and gave them positions and roles and made them feel that they were more superior than their brother. So then when they left them, it was like, oh, we'll leave you to it. But what are they leaving them to? What they've already put in place. We don't know that. We don't know. Again, we're educated in a certain way. So that's why I say 0.2%.
And uneducated.
Undereducated. Because nobody's going to tell you what they have done to you for you to undo that for yourselves and for your generations. So we take that as gospel, we take that as the verbatim of our history, and we continue to teach that. So what I do is a history behind the history. Because what we're taught, there is so many more layers behind. Because all 4 of us sitting here, we make individual choices that impact the entire world, and the world will never know that we made choices that now impact their lives. And as a result, they go on like, oh yes, what we learned, you know, it's everything, but it's not. It's bigger than that. And it's not to make it, you know, to make it mundane or to take away from anybody's individual journeys, but we are all responsible for how we learn and how we unlearn and how we accept things that have happened to us to be able to heal from that. So that 0.2% is that, because identity is a key aspect of that. And if you don't understand your history or histories that relate to you, how then do you define yourself to want to walk strong and tall in your African, Black, West Indian, whatever you're classifying yourself-ness, to be a part of a wider group where we can share, we have shared denominators of what's made us be this way, what's made us develop to get to this point.
Nice.
This is Selena all the time.
All day.
All day, every day. Coming from America, coming to Ghana, have you learned more about the Ghana history here?
I learned about Ghanaian history on my own before I came. It's definitely not, well, I want to be careful how I answer that. It probably is readily available, but for me being here in Ghana, I kind of expect it to be a little bit more overt.
But it's not.
It's not. So if you come to my home, I have books from Kwame Nkrumah. I have books from Marcus Garvey. So I consider myself a Pan-Africanist. So coming here, I anticipated and expected everyone else to be a Pan-African, and they're not. And I can see that I think things would be a little bit different if the culture was more overt. Like, you have the right to be flooding your country with your culture. I can't quite get the term right now, it's slipping my mind. It's when you're very much pro your country. But
Patriotic?
I'll even use patriotic, okay? We're very patriotic in the US. I don't know why.
That's not true. You do know why.
We've stolen most of the things we're proud about are from someone else.
Yeah.
So growing up being a proud American, I expected to come here and see proud Ghanaians. But you're not proud of your culture, you're proud of other things.
Do you think it's to do more with the type of films that Americans make? You know, in America they win the war. You've got Superman, you've got Batman,
Right.
you've got Spider-Man,
Right.
you've got Superwoman.
We're amazing, we're super
You know,
proud.
you're great.
Yeah.
You know, the American dream. In Ghana it's more of a comedy, more of insults, more of witchcraft, voodoo. Do you think that film and all of that has got to do with the reason why you feel empowered to be American, you feel proud?
Yeah, I would say the pro-American, we're great, we're number one, that is, again, it's overt. It is part of our culture. We are groomed and taught that we rule and dominate. Whether we do or not, we believe that we do. And then coming to a place like this and actually seeing people that I think are great, but they don't believe it, it's very disheartening. I try to talk to people all the time, even, you know, young people especially, and I tell them, you know, you're here in your country. You have the most opportunity here. I understand that television tells you to go to America, television tells you to go to the UK, and maybe even do that, but become a Bintu, right? You've been to the UK, you've been to America, you've been to Canada, and then come back to Ghana and bring all of the things you've learned, bring your energy, bring your time, bring your money, and invest back into Ghana. Because Ghana is great. Ghana is solid. Ghana produces. Ghana is strong. Ghana has their own language. One more thing also, if I may. I go on a lot of different excursions and visits to different places, and I find that people are very proud that they speak English. Even Ghana, I mean, even English is the national language here, right? I understand from a political standpoint why English is necessary, but I think that Ghana should be pushing and promoting your national language. That's what empowers you. So you should be pushing Tree. You should be pushing the Ga language. Yes, French, yes, English is important for you to be able to conduct business and things like that. But your fundamental cultural language empowers you, because maybe I need to tell you something that this person doesn't need to hear.
Absolutely. And I remember I went to France, and I went to the train station, and I was like, please, I'm trying to buy a ticket to so-and-so, can you help me out? No English. So I've come out, I meet this couple, and then I was like, oh, please, I need a ticket, I'm trying to buy a ticket, the man's not helping me. They walk off. Then I meet this other couple, and I was like, God, please. I was like, please. I know English. Bonjour. Then I'm trying to try. I don't know how to speak the French, but I was then trying to speak French because I needed help.
Yeah.
But they were proud of their language. If you don't speak it, I can't help you.
For me, my son, making sure he's learning Tree from a very young age. Like we started when he was, well, 0 months old. My mom has been speaking Tree to him. I speak the best I can to him. My nanny speaks to him, and he's picking up really fast. And even when we talk about learning our culture, I feel like I'm learning it more because of my son, because I want him to
That's beautiful.
soak it all in.
Yes.
So we're learning together. And I think that's really, really important. Really, really important, yeah.
I think it's difficult because when we look at these topics, colonialism has gifted us a lot of these things that we have, a lot of this lack of confidence. Remember, America was a colony. They fought for their freedom. So why should they not be patriotic about their language? English, it's American English. They've changed the language. They've changed their identity, who they worship, who they look to. These are the founding men all over Europe who came to found America. So they have to understand that that collectiveness gives them that power. That's why they're patriotic. When we come to the colony that has been broken down over centuries, where do you find that oneness? So when we're given independence, we are now free. Free to do what? To still trade with those who had formerly colonized us, to still send our children, because here it's a British curriculum in Ghana. But in our diasporan brains, we think they have a Ghana curriculum. More for us. Yeah? What about the medication that comes here? What about the politics framework that was once here? What are they using as the base frameworks? So when we're looking at home, there's a lot that we have to understand that we are burdened with because of what's happened in the past, that we are still having these conversations about now, that we're not happy with, especially those of us who are coming outside. We have a world view. Not everybody is gifted to have that here. So when we see things, we're able to pick out George Padmore, Patrice Lumumba, we're able to pick out different African men, women from all over the world. Do they have that here with their British curriculum? Whether or not they're able to access schools, all these things, because growing up in England, for me, being African was having swollen bellies and flies on their eyes, because that's what I saw on my telly.
Exactly, that's what they showed us.
Right, so then what did that do to our view? And then when we had to learn for ourselves and unlearn, then we've come back stronger because now we are reinforced with something that we was not gifted with. So when we come here, they already know who they are. They don't have to show their culture. They wear it with their clothes. They celebrate Homowa. They celebrate their festivals. Overt isn't a necessity here because they're not afraid of just being. We don't have that at home. We're struggling with our identity, so we have to find a way to be proud of that, where they don't need to do that here because it is just what it is to be. We haven't been gifted that, because that empowerment of having that lineage that they have here, we haven't had. And then we also haven't had the gift of colonialism at its best here, and the gifts that have been left as to why we still conduct ourselves in certain ways that will not come off.
But what do you think is the role of the diasporan? What is our role here in Ghana?
Heavy.
Our role is to be truthful
Heavy.
about our misnomers, about how we've been educated about Africa outside. When we come here, we need to leave our notions at the door. And we have to, what I feel we should be doing, we have to come and look at Ghana for what it actually is. No matter what our expectations are, what our standards are, come and look and see what Ghana is for what it is. And then see where we can improve with the skill sets that we claim that we have that are of no use to us in the diaspora. But there's no point in coming to try and fix something that people don't think is broken. Yeah? Because if they think that, turning up 2 hours is fine, that's what they think. So now how do you get them to be an hour early? That's where you start. Not to get them there on time, because you know. But and it's those small things. It's not personal. Nothing anybody does to us is personal, and I think that's the first thing, especially those of us who have, our chests are a little bit high, we've got higher expectations because, we deal with the white man in the way that we claim we deal with the white man, and he makes us behave in a certain way. We think when we come here, we then make them behave in the same way the white man has made us behave. So we become worse than him. And many people don't want to accept that, acknowledge that, but what I would advise is come home, and look at what your home is, what it stands for, what it, you know, what they're proud of, what they're not proud of, and work with them, work alongside them. We don't have to change anyone. We have to work alongside them because we're bringing the best of us, they're bringing the best of them. Let's see what we can build together.
I think our role is to be partners. We have to be careful not to come and be the next colonizer. We don't have it all. We don't know it all. We have, however, I will say that coming from the U.S., what I do have is processes. Right? I've got fundamental processes that I can share with you. But you also have survival skills that I don't have. So, I feel like the art of war tells you to know your enemy, right? I know the enemy very well. So I must be your partner. I must be your ally. I can suggest things that maybe you don't see coming. You can suggest things to me that maybe I don't see coming. Like, for example, this may be funny, right? The first time my water went out, I was standing around like, what am I gonna do? But someone had to tell me, you see this empty dispenser bottle you have? When you do have water, you fill it up. Okay, I got a master's degree. It didn't even cross me to fill the bottle up when the water is running. So we can't come here thinking we know it all or anything like that. What we need to do is be partners and share information. Don't be afraid to say I don't know. So I think partnership is our role.
And I think we need to be realistic. I think people are not being realistic coming back. They are coming, or, you know, because I have friends who have returned after me. After a year, they've gone back because they're just like, oh, I expected so much more. And it's like, don't expect, but come with a purpose. I always say come with a purpose. To be honest, I never thought I'd move to Ghana. I never thought I'd leave New York City. I am a New York City girl. I love hopping on the train. I love the hustle, bustle. I never imagined, you know, but I came on holiday and I felt, I can bring something back, you know. I know it's not going to be an overnight change of what I'm bringing back, but it's going to be a process. But there's something that I know I can bring back. But you have to be realistic. If you're not realistic, trust me. And I think we have to speak our truth because it's not. I've been here 8 years and everyone always, what, 8 years? What, girl? Vanessa, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's been 8 years and it's been a roller coaster ride. Is it one that I would do again? Yeah. I think I've grown so much. I don't think I would have grown so much personally and career-wise, to be honest, if I were in New York. You know, something, I think it was, I had to really, I thought I was tough in New York, but I had to toughen up in a different way. And being in Ghana definitely did that for me. But you have to be realistic coming back. But you can't just pack your bags and come. Because I did that. I literally came on holiday. 6 months later, I was back in Ghana. Yeah, so if you want to take that leap of faith, do it and don't look back. Come all the way. Yeah.
All the way.
All the way.
Look back.
Don't look back.
So I want to just delve into what each of you are currently doing, and then we'll wrap it up. So Vanessa,
yes.
I mean, you are doing a lot in the US. So PR, marketing, all of that. And are you doing the same thing in Ghana?
Yeah, I am. I work in the TV industry, producing, directing, creating. That's why I even moved to Ghana initially, was to bring my expertise and, you know, what I had learned there and studied. So yeah, I still work in the TV industry. I also am the head of business development for a wine called Blanc Fusi. Very good wine. Don't worry, I'll send you each a bottle. And also I have an NGO, the Sincerely V Foundation. Our main initiative, the Post-Pregnancy Bougie Express. They're going to be like, yes, this New York girl, she is New York. But it's a maternal health initiative. I created it when I had my son. I did my prenatal here, gave birth there. I saw a gap in the system. And I was like, how can I, in my own way, fill this gap? So we help discharge detained moms from the hospitals. We throw baby showers, mass baby showers.
I love it.
We give back baby and mommy necessities, and that's throughout the year. And what else do I do? And I'm a mom. That's my first job. That's
I love it.
Madam, what are you doing? The long list. You just cut it down around it for us.
So I have embarked upon a 5-year program here. So my job is I'm a cultural and ancestral historian, and I'm an Afrocentric genealogist. So I help people trace their ancestries back to 1833, because that's when we have the abolition of the slave trade.
So you can help me trace back?
I certainly can.
Okay.
To be able to give us that timeline in history, because when we learn history, we're separate. That's why we're not interested. We're not interested in this, we're not interested in that.
Did you call Rachel?
Not yet.
Okay.
I will be calling Rachel. I had to get prepped for today. I help them to be able to share that with the next generation. Because even though you may not be able to go back, today we start now. Because history, we can go back in history for decades, but where do we belong in it? Does it matter? It matters. So the idea is to look at, we're starting with Accra, looking at the Gar communities, because the Gars are British, Dutch, Danish.
Yeah.
Who knows? So when we're coming back, how do we then introduce people who are coming back who are connected to these cultures, how they're able to then come back in and be able to learn more about what's hereditary for them. I also document World War II veterans, because those are the last connecting ancestors we have to colonial rule under the wars, and looking at how that impacted their families. Because when you serve for your king and country and you are proud, you have a certain expectation of what life should be after you've done that. And then that illusion has been gifted down to generations, and is looking at how we now turn that around, how we look at what that contribution meant and how it actually develops and helps, say, Ghana. So when we look at events like the Crossroads, 28th of February, what was the systematic impacts of things that have gone on since the Anglo-Ashanti Wars of 1824 that had led Ghana back to be independent, and why that the ancient Ghana was the name chosen for Ghana because of the strength of the history that came before. So that's what I do here, and the idea is again to start empowering employees, so that we can build company revenue to assist with them with their self-identity, with how they relate to people, because classism is a thing as well. This is something that we don't talk about, and poverty is real. Poverty is big business, and if you keep people feeling inferior, they do not grow businesses. They continue to be workers. But the idea is now, how do we nurture our children to feel that they can become something more than maybe their grandfather or grandmother, not to disrespect anything that's come before us, but how are we evolving to make our countries great? And by doing that, that builds companies' revenues, because if you have better employees, they then can sustain customers, things like that. So we're looking at, I look at those areas and using history as a tool to be able to put in that psychological marketing, that mental health well-being, because it's all of these areas that we have to look at and target in a way that doesn't allow us to keep reliving these traumas. Because that's what we do. We visit the castles, we relive the traumas. What do we do with that energy of reliving the trauma? How can we heal from seeing what has happened to our ancestors, or what still exists here, or things like that, to be able to make the necessary changes? So that's what I'm working on here, programs with officials, local communities, because a lot of things it has to be governmental and grassroots, but it's looking at how we cross over all platforms to be able to give back to ourselves so that we create a healthy future.
Fantastic. And what about you, Carlina?
Yes, so I, in my former life, I am an IT project manager. I occasionally still will take a role if necessary, because Ghana is expensive. It's a cash society, and you need to be able to be generating income. So I do that when I need to. But here in Ghana, I am an agro-processor. So what I do is some of my produce I actually grow myself. Some I acquire from other farmers. I even go to the market, right? Makala, I go to the markets and get the produce that I need. And then I bring it back to my shop and I process it into different products. So right now we're making ginger powder, garlic powder, onion powder. We're making vegan shito.
Vegan
Don't
shit.
play.
Okay.
Catch the vegan shito on the Garden and the Sea store.
Wow, We need to go. Are you guys going to come with me to visit her shop?
No, definitely.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Yep, we're right in the heart of Osu,
Okay.
Yaniba Estate. So
Yeniba Estate.
Yeniba. I'm getting
Yeniba
help me with my diction. I've even heard that the building I'm in belonged to Nkrumah's mother. So I got to get back to you on that.
Is it true? Yeah, it's true.
I've heard whispers.
Yeah.
So ancestors come through.
It's
true.
Nkrumah's mother.
That's his mother's name.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'm hoping that that is actually her building, right? Yeah, I would like to call on all of that energy.
Yes.
So yeah, right now we're starting with exporting. And then I would definitely like to get into several different other aspects. I'll even reach out to Vanessa after this and kind of talk with her about some of the NGO things, because as we do start to make money, I want to make sure that we are making an impact here in Ghana. So we will begin to donate and give a lot of our proceeds and portions and make sure that we're taking care of Ghana.
Fantastic. And this is what I want to see. I want to see us diasporans coming together, having these conversations and seeing how we can all support each other. Yeah. I think it's vitally important. It starts with us, and it starts with, like you mentioned, teaching our kids our culture, our language, so they know that in Ghana, if you give somebody something in the left, it's a no-no. Mm-hmm. You have to use your right.
My son is a lefty.
That's the other thing. I was saying that. We had this conversation about, what if they're lefty? Still it has to be a right.
Really?
It has to be a right. Okay. So, we just have to try and adapt as much as possible. But I want you to give one advice to somebody who is in America, UK, Canada, sitting there watching a show thinking, I still don't want to go. I'm earning $500,000 a year. Yeah. I'm comfortable. I've got my big house. I've got my 3 dogs. I've got my children. They're happy. I don't want to take them out from the school. What would be your advice to them?
Invest back home. So if you don't want to come, I don't force anybody to do things that they're not ready to do, but I would say invest back home. And then by looking at what you've invested in, come and visit the work that you've paid your money into and see how it's inspired the people that you've chosen to elect. Because when you come home, you'll be able to see what more you can do if you were actually here. But start off by investing back home. Come back home, invest, send your money back home, and then come and see what your money is doing.
Fantastic. Vanessa?
I would say change is good. Change is good, I changed, this is a whole different life for me, but I always say, even if someone hears my story, I left a great paying job, and the pay I started with here, I don't even know how I'm still sitting here, it was not easy, but it's worth it. It's worth it, I feel, on even a personal level. It's worth it, and change is good. Don't be afraid of change. So if you're thinking about it for a reason, so just make it happen. Yeah. Some way, somehow. Yeah.
So I will echo both of the ladies' sentiments, right? The only thing constant is change. Change is good. Sacrifice. It's okay. And invest. If you're not fully ready to come, you can still prepare. And then you see us all here. Reach out and contact us. Maybe something that we're doing will resonate with you, so you can take less risk and invest in those of us that are here. But absolutely, at the very least, come and visit. And see for yourself. Don't take any more movies or someone's word for what's going on here. Come and experience it yourself.
Come and experience it yourself. Come to Ghana. And ladies, I know that we've drank our drinks, but let's do a toast. Yes. Let's do a toast to that. So, to every diasporan who is trying to come back home, this is a toast for you, that you are welcome home. Akwaba. We are waiting for you. Thank you for watching the show. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.